Get lost, dipshit.
Welcome to Something Crunchy, the Valley's #1 comedy entertainment podcast.
Welcome to Something Crunchy. I'm Kellen Blake. With me, as always, Blair and Tyler Dressel. We have such a crunchy guest joining us tonight. You know him from movies like True Lies, 9 Months, and Exit Wounds, shows like Roseanne, Easy to Assemble, and Sons of Anarchy. He'll be back in the Valley performing live at Desert Ridge Improv on March 6th. Please welcome Tom Arnold.
Oh my gosh! You got the radio voice, don't you?
Thank you. I appreciate you joining us, Tom.
I have a question for you.
Hit us.
Now, the co-hosts are your sister and your brother-in-law, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you, do you guys live together?
We do not.
Okay.
Fun dynamic. We live close by, almost in the same
Good.
neighborhood.
Good enough. That's good enough.
Not all under the same roof.
Yeah.
No, we don't sleep in the same bed.
Well, that was going to be my next. You know.
You guys sound close. This is already weird.
How
I can
close?
tell.
Well, my kids, my kids sleep in my bed. You know, I originally, when I was growing up, we weren't allowed in my dad's bedroom or in the house. Basically, I grew up in a small town in Iowa, farm town, oldest of 7 kids, and so I also had a single dad. I'm a single dad, and we weren't allowed. You know, in middle of winter, you can't play in the house. You have to go outside. So that's kind of so. To myself, when I have kids, I'm not. It's never going to be me in bed and the kids and the dog. Yeah, I have rules, and of course that's just not how it goes. There's many nights when it's all of us. But I got these beds that I don't know if they're called crap bag, but they go up and down. You know those beds. You have a remote control. Yeah. So I got 2 of them side by side, and my thinking was the kids could have their own remote control. I would have my own remote control. But again, that's not how it works. I usually end up in the middle on the, where the crevice is. And, but,
Sounds right.
all right.
That's us too. Yeah.
That's dad life.
We have
That's
2
great.
kids too, and we wake up with 1 or 2 of them both goal posting between the 2 of us.
Somebody's foot in
Well,
the ass somewhere.
Yeah.
You gotta let them do that. How old are your kids?
4 and 8.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's good. We can have a play date. Mine are 11. My son's 11. My daughter's 9.
Oh
So,
yeah,
you
so
know.
you know where we're at.
I do. And, yeah, it's good, but it's the best.
Yeah.
It's the
It
best.
sure is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Single dad, 9 and 11. Your hands are
Yeah.
full.
Yeah.
They are, but it's pretty great, And my son's always like, "Daddy, why did you have a Lambo?" And I'm like, dude, I could have a Lambo, but 8 years ago, I got you guys. The court is expensive. That's right, just a fact.
You could have
That's
a
a fact.
fleet of Lambos if it wasn't
Yeah,
for those
no
2.
I
kidding.
chose you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun, and and I certainly get a lot of satisfaction out of it. And I always said I wanted to be a good dad, and it's a good thing I am.
Yeah.
But I like it more than I haven't had a date in 8 years. That's another thing. Not that it couldn't happen, but I have 4 ex-wives, and the thing is, you could have 3 ex-wives and still kind of go, yeah, those crazy bitches, But if you have 4 ex-wives, you go, holy shit, it's me. It's 100% me. So I am pacing myself,
I know a guy with 13. You're doing just fine.
13 ex-wives?
Yep.
On
Timing
purpose?
is
Or-
everything.
Yeah.
Well, I can see what doing that for. You get up the record number. You're like, I always have 13. That was not going to, that's the unlucky one. But my mom had 7. So I had 6 stepdads, which is not the best. Although he did keep me new. I got to meet new guys all the time. They weren't that much
Perspective.
older than me. Yeah.
Point of view is everything.
Yeah, true.
Well, coming back to Phoenix, Desert Ridge Improv, March 6th. Tickets are available at desertridgeimprov.com. What do you like to do when you're in the Phoenix area? Do you have any desert-related stories?
Well, first of all, it's my birthday, March 6th.
Yes,
Yay!
that's right.
Yeah.
Happy early
And-
birthday.
The kids are going to take me out March 5th. And this came up with this guy, Jimmy Shedd. He's the other comic, and I guess he books a lot of different stuff. And he goes, so you want to do it? It's March 6th. I go, yeah, I need the money. I'm going to work on I'll work Father's Day too this year if I have to. But We have my. I think I have two sets of in-laws, ex-in-laws down there, and I have family. My brother lives in Scottsdale and works at Grand Canyon University. He's a financial guy,
Cool.
and Grand Canyon is I think it's the world's biggest Christian university.
Yeah, go Lopes.
And and we're Jewish, but I guess they pay very well. But they have like their basketball team, and they got the facilities down there. They seem like they got a great thing going down there.
Yeah.
And they're spending money, and they take from what I understand, a lot of kids from south of the border that can't get into school. They help them out. They give them financial aid. It's a good mix of. I don't think you have to be Christian to go there. It'd probably be a good idea though, but I don't think you have to. But it seems like just a great place, and so I have a lot of Arizona. Who doesn't have a lot of Arizona connections?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you play any golf or anything while you're in town?
No, I don't play golf.
Nah.
You have to have at least 5 hours a day. You have to practice. You have to go to, let's say, your relationship. Okay, I'll be back in 8 hours. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You get out there with your buddies. I do know that it can be fun, but you have to practice. And the last time I played, 21 years ago, the Michael Douglas Classic in Las Vegas, and I had a sports show at the time, best damn sports show, period. We used to film a lot of stuff in Arizona with the teams and stuff, but Michael Douglas came on my sports show and asked me live on the air to play in his tournament. Now, I hardly ever played golf, and I found out the reason why was because he wanted to put me on. Kenny G is a great golfer. I don't know. And Joe Pesci, they're great golfers. So he wanted to put me on their team so they would lose because you had to take one drive of each person. And but I got very lucky on a drive. I Happy Gilmore'd it, and we won. And let me say this: Heather Locklear was our fourth. Let me tell you, she made like a 60-foot putt to win.
Wow.
So I got the trophy. It's right here. That's the last time I've ever played because it ended well. My golf career.
I was going to say,
Yes,
why would you play again?
That's how you leave.
Right, exactly.
I'd hang him up too. That's the time. So Heather Locklear really sank like a 60-foot putt?
Yeah, she did. It was so. It was. I think Sylvester Stallone was on the other team, but he made a great putt, and so we have 60 feet or yards or whatever. She was not even on the green, so I guess it's not technically putt. And they're like, okay, it's a girl, she'll never do it, and it was crazy because it was also filmed, so there's proof. So she did. She seemed like and I know her boyfriend at the time, maybe her husband, Jack Wagner. He's the guy for the soap operas. He was on General Hospital,
Sure.
But he's like the best celebrity golfer, because anytime it's like I play celebrity baseball or something, and it's not like there's you're the best celebrity. You won that doesn't really count. That's like having the special team. But so there's a lot of people that I know love playing golf, and I think it's great and for them, and it's just I can't figure out a way to get that much time, out and about, and I'm lucky if I go meet friends for a bite to eat.
Best damn sports show, period. I used to love that show. I missed that show. What is your favorite sports moment of all time?
First of all, I really loved. I mean, I've done I've been in 150 movies, 4 good ones. That's what I say. But I've had started in other TV shows, but the sports show, being paid to talk about sports, it was just a wonderful opportunity, and I got to meet all my heroes on the show. And when we went is it Midnight Madness at the University of Arizona. A buddy of mine who coached in Iowa, Lute Olson, was coaching at Arizona. So at midnight on this certain night, they do put on this huge thing, and everybody's excited because the basketball season's starting. So I went down there for that, and we filmed that, and then Alice Cooper. And does he still have that place, Coopertown, that's like a restaurant or a sports bar?
Yeah, by the Diamondback Stadium.
Yeah. By the way, he's an amazing golfer.
Totally.
I'm going to tell you, he plays golf a lot with my friends. He's an amazing human being, too.
I played behind him before. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's a real deal. So, best sports moment. You know what? I did have a pretty freaking great one down in Arizona. I'm a New York Giant fan. And it doesn't always work out for us, you know. And we been in a Super Bowl, and my buddy owns the team, so it's a little added pressure. But we'd been in a Super Bowl down in Tampa that we thought we would crush them. I forget who we were playing, but Trent Dilfer was their quarterback. So I'm on the team bus with the families. Yeah, we're gonna kill, and we just got our asses kicked. It was brutal. In fact, the hotel was in our hotel was in Orlando, and so I didn't even get on the team bus. Everybody was so sad. I just hitchhiked over to Orlando because it was too depressing. But so we get down after the 2007 season. This is before you guys were born, and the Tom Brady and the Patriots are undefeated. I mean, there's no way we'll win that Super Bowl. It's just so there's no pressure. So we had it down there. What's your stadium called? I think it was University of Phoenix Stadium at the time.
It still
but
is.
It's your football stadium.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. My brother used to work there too. Okay. So they also make a lot of money. But so we get down there. It's me because it's a New York team. So there's me and the Mayor Bloomberg and all the, my friend's family is the Tisch family and a bunch of fun people. And we're in the owner's box or whatever. And everybody's just having a good time because we know we're not going to win. So we're just like thrilled. And then at about a minute and a half, like a miracle happened with where Eli Manning, our quarterback, was about to be sacked. He got out of it, threw a crazy pass. The guy caught it on his helmet. And people don't remember, but then we had to score a touchdown after that.
They desperately needed that first down, right? Like, was that not a?
Oh yeah, no, it was going to be over.
Okay.
And what's funny is this is so as soon as Plaxico Burress caught the touchdown at the end, he also shot himself in the leg in the offseason.
You always think about that every time. He'll always be synonymous with that gunshot.
Oh.
Yeah, but so that was so crazy. We all just ran down to the field, and we hadn't even. Because I wasn't going to get a field pass for watching Tom Brady celebrate the Super Bowl. So we didn't have, we just bumped, and security is tight at the Super Bowl. Let me tell you, we just like bum rushed them. And it was so exciting because so unexpected. And, that's a great thing in sports. Sometimes, it's better than life because anything can happen, you know, and there's a beginning, middle, and end, and there's rules. And it was just, it seemed impossible, and then it just happened. So that gives, that gives you hope that no matter what, if you're still in the game, it might happen. I guess that's a pretty great one.
That is a pretty great one.
Very
It
memorable.
really is. When did you become a Giants fan? Was that growing up in Iowa? There wasn't a lot of pro teams there, or was that later?
Well, here's the thing. In Iowa, there's no pro teams.
Right.
I went to the University of Iowa, the Hawkeyes. There's a lot of Iowa people down there, by the way. And the saying is, growing up, if you do everything right, you're going to end up in Arizona. You're going to get the fuck out of Iowa because it's ridiculous, the weather. People say, "Oh, we love it." No, it's awful. So, growing up, people. There was the Vikings, and there was the Packers, there was the Bears, there was the Chiefs, and when I was in junior high, I was a quarterback, believe it or not. I was much trimmer, and it was pretty good. But I have a head that's like an 8 1/4. Like, do you know how big that's big?
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not like
That's a big head.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like 7.5.
We're just talking about it today, actually.
Yeah, it's a big, it's not one size fits all. Like all my hats are special made, and our colors were blue and red and white, and they couldn't get a red helmet for me, and I had to wear a blue helmet. Which, if you're quarterback, the guys are like, okay, there's the guy we're gonna crush him. But and it was a little depressing. But I thought I'm going to make the best of this. So I got some black electric tape and put NY on the side, and then just started learning everything I could about the New York Giants. Everything, the history, that was going to be my team. I was the only person, in Iowa or wherever. And so it was very satisfying. And then later in life, my friend's dad bought the team, which made it like, you could go to all the stuff. And so that was
John Mara you're talking about?
No, it's Bob Tisch. The Bears owned the whole team at one time, and they needed money. So Bob Tisch, who is a billionaire for other reasons, but he grew up a New York Giants fan. He grew up in Queens. He made his way he's incredible life. And so I think this is true. Probably in 1989, the Mara family needed money because that's how they made their money, was from the team. And sometimes there's not enough cash. So he said, I'll buy half the team. I think he paid $25 million for half the team. That now it's worth, his half is worth $3 billion.
Oh,
Like
for
everything the
sure.
guy touched. But he was so cool. He's like, I don't want to be involved with the team or tell you what to do. I just want to shake the players' hands on the way out of the locker room. For real, that's who he was. So, he just loved it. And then, of course, when they lost, he was all bummed out. But his son, Steve Tisch, who's a producer out here, he produced Forrest Gump and stuff. And he was my best man. And I'm Zach Tisch's godfather, his kids.
Wow.
So he got involved. But Steve wasn't like a super football guy. But he's like, yeah, my dad has his team. And now he works with the Maras. Like he and his brother, they have a vote or a voice and all this stuff. And so, yeah, very lucky. I wish I owned the team. I wish I had the money to buy a team. That'd be crazy.
What would be your first choice outside of the Giants? Any franchise?
Oh my gosh. Well, here's the thing about pro sports. Any franchise you own, you make money.
That's true.
Because you have to be a certain level of rich. And you have to prove it. And it's why Donald Trump, said he was gonna buy the Buffalo Bills. They're like, show us your bank account. Because they don't mess around, the NFL.
They do not.
They need to see the money.
They need receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just couldn't do it. And then, funny story, John Bon Jovi and a group of his guys were going to do it. And somehow Trump made sure he was screwed over. I don't know if he badmouthed them or did something, had people. But John Bon Jovi, who's, he's always wanted to be on a football team,
Yeah.
be a part of it. So I don't know. I'd want it to be a team that I could drive to, so that's the California team. But these guys that own these teams have multiple dozen billions of dollars. These guys are really, I grew up a Cubs fan. Yeah. And that was satisfying as hell when they won the 2016.
Oh,
Yeah.
World Series.
A lot of people are excited
Yeah.
about
I think
that.
everyone was excited for y'all for that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, that seventh game, it was in Cleveland. And, Cleveland, it would have been nice if they won too, but it's in Cleveland, game 7. And so I'm like, I'm not going to go up there and then have us lose and have to deal with those assholes. So I watched the game 7, and we had been here before, the Cubs. We thought we were winning a couple other times, if you remember.
Yeah.
And so I watched it, and my one friend that's a real fan's there, and he's getting so nervous. I'm getting so nervous, and I end up watching the end of it, standing by myself, like my stomach was, like I might have had diarrhea because I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then the moment we won, I just flashed my whole life that my grandpa take me to games, my dad, everybody knew how much it'd been. 108 years. It was just the best feeling, and I've been there. I've sung the Take Me Out to the Ball Game with Harry Carey and those guys, and thrown out the first pitch. But this was crazy. And so this was, I think, November 3rd, 2016. And then November 8th, 2016, Trump gets elected and just ruined everything. So it's like I had 5 minutes or 5 days of, yeah, then here's Trump. Jesus. I know he's got a lot of fans down there. I know, because the last show I did, it was in this big field. I can't think of the name of the place. And they just had a Trump rally there. So that's, which is fine. He can have his rallies.
He could have his route. It's a swing state. It's always purple here.
Yeah, flip flops.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know if it's taxes or what, but a lot of people in my business move there because it's not so far that it's like, you can't get back here if you got to meet somebody or do something. And so, yeah.
It is close
lot of
enough
people.
where you can get there quickly if you need to, but you can still get a lot of property for a fraction of the cost of
Right.
taxes, and you're not having to deal with, the natural disasters and
Yeah.
all of that you're
Yeah.
seeing in California.
Yeah.
No earthquakes.
There you
and
go.
Wildfires and all that. Just
Yeah.
a scorching heat. No big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something, but you're right. You're right. Let me tell you another great sports moment. So my sports show started probably July 2001. And then it's going along great. We get people. And then 9/11 happened. You remember 9/11, right?
I do.
And
vaguely.
And it was just such a weird time for everybody, especially entertainment. Like, what do we just not do this anymore? Do we not? Are they not going to play sports? My cameraman was on one of the planes that it crashed into the train. Yeah, it was a weird thing. So everybody in the country is just like freaked out and traumatized. Yeah. And then eventually sports started talking, and they said they're going to come back and play some games because they felt like America needed that, which is true. And so we come back, and the Yankees, because of what happened to New York, they are the favorite of everybody in the world. And every time the Yankees, yeah. So I think it was Game 7 again. So we come down to Arizona, the Diamondbacks for, I think, Game 7. And everybody's like, this is a miracle. This is how it works, man. Yankees win the World Series. And they should have. They had Mariana, what's his name?
Mariano Rivera.
Yeah. But on the mound. I mean, there's no way. But Luis Gonzalez, who was a very good hitter, but there's no way he's going to get a hit off. It's going to be over right now. And he hit one and looped it over the head into the outfield. I mean, it's great because the Diamondbacks, I'm sure, they had never won. And people were like a little stunned, but they were also like, we feel good about this. And I watched the Yankees, and I went out with them afterwards. And, they were like, Derek Jeter's watching them celebrate like, the Russians were watching the American hockey team. And like, this is interesting. But you know what? Nobody was disappointed. Even though you thought, I'm going to be disappointed if the Yankees don't win this. It's so important. But nobody was, because it was such a great series. So, yeah, that was fun.
And you remember that well, don't you?
Oh, buddy, do I ever? Yeah, that was Arizona's only world championship besides the Coyotes, which they aren't even here anymore.
No Suns.
Yeah,
and no
let me tell you about the Coyotes.
Yeah,
I went down to a Coyote game, and my friend who played in the NHL, he said, "Where they're having a whiteout." I go, "What's a whiteout?" He goes, "Everybody's gonna be white." I go, "No, everybody's not. I'm being white. I'm gonna wear the black shirt." And honest to shit, I was the only person that the camera kept coming like it was black. They really,
you chose.
Everybody was in white. Like you'd say, well, our team's gonna do whatever, and like half the people might do it, or everybody. Like it was crazy. Yeah. So I'm sorry, the team. I think Gretzky owned the team, didn't he?
Yeah, for a little bit, and then they couldn't get stuff done with I don't know.
Where are they going? Salt Lake City
arena rights, and there's all kinds of.
Where are they going?
I don't know. They got back into the ether and turned into an expansion team, but they might be coming back.
Really?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of southern. Places that have made that work, the hockey work that people thought
right for Tom Arnold ownership. This is all the stars are aligning for you to own.
I would love to. I wish I wasn't poor. I would really,
Right after that Lamborghini, that hockey team is yours.
God. Yeah. Lamborghini's not a car, a family car, I will tell you. It's not. And plus, every time my son's like, look at this YouTuber drive a Lamborghini, he smashes it into a pole. People, they're plastic. So, I got to have room for the kids and their friends and their shit. I have to have a 3-row.
You can't fit all out there.
Yeah. 3-row mom car.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's why I loved you so much in Hit and Run in that minivan. I just related with you so much in that.
Thank you. I just saw Dax Shepard.
Nice.
And Bradley Cooper. Our friend, a guy that's been like a mentor to us and helped us with sobriety. Also, the reason I was running late from the store, he just got sworn in as a Superior Court judge downtown here in LA. So everybody that's he's ever helped everybody showed up. So I did get to see Dax, and it's unusual being in that giant courthouse for something positive. I've been there for a lot of,
like, this is refreshing.
I'm not in trouble. Swear to God.
To be there and not have the anxiety.
Dancing your way in. Yeah. It's like, hey.
Yeah. It's not.
Steve,
it's
Carol, how is everyone?
Yeah. I do know. Let me tell you, I've been 10 times with my ex last year, because I stopped paying alimony on my birthday, March 6th last year. And I thought, I pay child support, of course, even though they're mostly here. But I thought, that'll be good. I get self-paying alimony. First time in 25 years I haven't paid alimony.
Congratulations.
And the kids and I will be able to afford to move closer to the school. I'll rent a house over there. And but I also thought, she's going to do something. She's going to come up with some stuff. And that's kind of what's happened. But I do know when we came in there today, a lot of the other people were unfamiliar how to get around. Or I go, I know. I take them through security. They all know me. The way the floors are laid out, I know where the gift shop is.
There's two
I
left
know where
doors
the
on this
bathrooms
side
are
over
for
here.
sure. Yeah, the bathrooms I for sure know because there's a men's on one floor and women's on another, so it's every other floor. So you gotta. But it's but it was great seeing my friend be. To make his life so good.
That's so exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Good for Dax. That was inspiration for my nephew's name, Blair and Tyler's
We did
son.
name our son Dax.
Yes,
As
we
a
did.
son named
wow.
Dax. Yeah, they like that name a lot.
Yeah, that's good. And I named my son Jax. I was like, I'm going to name Jack. It's almost like your name.
Yeah.
But also, when I was on a show called Sons of Anarchy, and the star character was Jax Teller, and my buddy had written the show. That's why I was on it for a couple years. But I said, I'm thinking about naming my son Jax as my first child. And I said, would that offend you? And he goes, oh, I'd be honored because I really like the name. So Dax probably thinks I named him after him. and then my dad was lifetime. His name is Jack, Jack. And so I told people I wanted to honor him, but not too much.
But not too much. Just a
little
shout out, a modernized version
Yeah.
of it. So single dad with the two young ones. Are they fans of your work, especially the mid
They
90s stuff?
I will tell you. It's a game changer. We had not. I don't think my work was allowed in the house until Mom moved out like 8 years ago. But I have to say this. So I was also like, I was like, I don't know, and so stuff started popping up on TV, and they started watching it. They're putting it together because they were young. Wait a minute, that's you? That's your family? I go, that's not my family. They're like 30 years old now. Those kids are 30 years old. And my daughter's like, why are you kissing that woman? I go, hey, I have to. I'm paid to kiss her, honey. But and I had one of the best dad moments. We got out of the car. I'm taking the kids to school. The kids are in the car seats in the back. My son has his iPad. And I got him on, because there's cameras everywhere. I got him saying to his friend, hey, my dad is Tom Arnold. Like it's that moment where, they got to put it together. But they love, obviously they both love Arnold Schwarzenegger. We go over there and they like True Lies. My son loves Hit and Run. And I'm glad you mentioned that movie because people are like, well, name a movie I might not have seen, but that's pretty good. And Hit and Run is like that.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. So they've watched a lot. I mean, I do let them. I actually tried to put in the custody thing. They cannot watch any of Tom's movies, which is hilarious. But, and then, when you make all these movies, sometimes you're in the middle of it. And I remember one called Camp Fred 3. And it's just the dumbest fucking. My buddy directed it. And so we're filming. It's about a kids camp, and Camp I Want a Pee-Pee is the name of the camp.
This is right up my alley.
Yeah, well, it's this Fred guy, and he talks like this, and he has whatever. And I kept saying to my buddy, "This is why are we here?" And John Cena was in it too, so that's kind of. But my daughter, one time she went over to her mom's, and she watched that, and she would watch that every time. Like her mom had to listen to me on this stupid movie. And I'm like, I do. You know what? I'm glad I never. Plus, you don't want to badmouth a movie because there's 100 people that worked on that movie.
Sure.
That might be the best thing that they ever did.
Right.
And then here I am trash talking it like I'm above it. And so you just never know, especially with kids, what they, my son, I'll come in the house and he'll be playing Fortnite with his buddies. Saying, hey, Sonny. Oh, Dad, please, shh, I don't want my friends to hear you. I'm like, okay, that's some bullshit. And then I go in the kitchen, and then later he'll come in the kitchen later because his friend saw me with Tupac or something on the internet, and he's like, Daddy, will you say hi to my friends? I go, no, fuck your friend. No, I'm not having a relationship like that. You're either in or you're out with me. That's every relationship with a woman I've ever had. So, no.
Tell your friends to eat shit.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You're either fan or you're not.
You're a fan or you're not. 1996 alone, let's talk about that. You're coming off True Lies in 9 months, and in 1 year, you did The Stupids, Big Bully, and Carpool. Blair would call this triumvirate the pinnacle of cinematic achievement. She adores these movies.
Blair.
Yeah, Blair.
You know,
She would.
Love it.
Tom, what do you think about when looking back on this era of filmmaking and the risk-taking that you don't really see anymore today?
well, I can tell you why I made so many kind of in a row. Because you do a movie like True Lies, which it's crazy that I got in that movie. And Jim Cameron had to go to bat. Like the studio was like, no, Tom Hart, no, we can't support that. And Jim Cameron's like, oh, well, that's too bad. I wanted to make a movie here at Fox. Now I'm going to go down the street and make it a Paramount.
Too bad.
And they're like,
fuckers.
Okay, we'll give that asshole a chance, I guess. But you do a movie like that, and then, right after that, 9 months, to work with Rob Williams, all those guys, and Chris Columbus, the director, and you move to that, and then you start getting more and more, like you'll get offered maybe $2.5 million for this one, and then like you get stupid, they're like, we'll give you $5 million. I'm like, I don't even have to read the script, I'll do it. But every movie escalates, and you really shouldn't. And I do that. You kind of pace yourself a little bit, but I'm like, screw it. Who knows if this will last? But like The Stupids, I mean, that's a movie that people either hate or love. And we recently watched it with the kids, and they liked it. I forgot at the end because I'll think I remember the movie, but you'll forget how, different parts of the action parts, which is weird. All the people in the movie, like my next door neighbor in The Stupids is a guy named Robert Wise, who directed The Sound of Music and won an Oscar for Best Director, whatever. And John Landis likes making movies more than any human being. And what he does in all his movies, he'll have like 7 directors act in it, so they get their SAG health care.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
so
that's
they'll
cool.
show up in these great directors, Norman Jewison, Anna Matoya, David Cronenberg, all these. They show up and do a day, and so I can say, oh, I worked with all those guys too. So there's a lot of good people involved in that.
That's
That's
so
really
fun.
cool.
Were there any movies you were surprised to see do so well?
Well, I think Exit was, because I think that's what I did with Steven Seagal. I'm like, oh, you got to be serious. But I mean, no, my expectations are 0, because True Lies was really my first big role in a movie, and that became it was the most expensive movie ever made at the time, which is why the studio's like, we don't want Tom Arnold, but it was a huge hit. We are still friends. Everybody's still friends. Jim, Jamie Lee, Arnold. And I remember thinking, I bet this is what all movies are like. And it turns out no movies are like that. But you just kind of hope that, you don't, it can be very depressing, intimidating, but you have to do it sometimes. If you have a TV show, the next morning the ratings come out early in the morning. You got to look at that bullshit. And, and it's a pressure,
Yeah.
and with a movie, I think they know by Friday night if it's going to be a hit or not. So, what I try to do go with the other actors in the back of the theater for the first showing, whatever that is, might be Thursday, and then be done with it. But, somebody like Arnold, who's been in a lot of these big movies, really pays attention to the financial stuff. And at least in I was like, number one, I'm like shocked any movie gets made. Any movie gets made. I'm shocked that I'm in it. I'm shocked that they had me and they went to bat for me. But my expectations are, and it's different because it really was back in those days, all box office. There was no streaming. There was no, when I moved to LA to write the Roseanne Show in '88, I think there were 3 networks. I don't even think Fox had started.
Wow.
And so all the content, and my kids never watch network. They watch Nick at Night or Nickelodeon, but but they don't watch. They get everything from YouTube. And I used to think, well, that's just not going to work. But now they have shows that you look at it, they like spent $3 million for a 10-minute episode.
It's
you can tell the money. It's crazy. And Mr. Beast and those guys. So, it's such a different world because now you can have like Arnold's show on Netflix. It's called Fubar. And I did, the second season's coming out next month, and I did a couple episodes of that. I did the first. But you really don't know, because Netflix doesn't like to talk about how many people watch whatever. They're starting to do it to say, okay, this is our number one movie around the world, or our number one series around the world. But who knows? How can you prove that? I mean, I'm sure they can internally, but they're not about just killing it at first. They spend a lot of money, they pay a lot of money, which is very good, but they're about selling people to get Netflix. And then a lot of times their movies, they'll pull movies off, and then they'll come back around. They're very smart this way, and everybody will watch it. And these could be movies that people never saw in the theaters because it bombed or whatever. And all of a sudden it gets come back in a place like Netflix or Amazon or one of these places. So you got to, it's great to get a movie made, and then you kind of try not to think about it. You don't get as much residuals. Also when I started, if you went on Johnny Carson, he was the talk show, and killed it for 5 minutes as a stand-up comedian, you got a sitcom.
Got the count.
And that meant you get $150 or $200 million right there. Because, when the first time I acted on Roseanne, I think it was 1989, and 48 million people watched it. And if you get 4 million now, that's like a hit.
Yeah.
So it was a different world. You don't have to you do one show, you start it, but you can do other stuff too. It's not like this, you got to wait 12-month period. You can only do this one thing or that. And now you make less money, but you could do several different things, and maybe creatively, and there's different ways to get your stuff out there. So it's not ideal, I have to say, for, my business. We had to go on strike last year because, the AI thing, they're just going to copy everybody and do this. And the residuals got cut because getting residuals from streaming, it's been very tough, because you can't keep track of stuff. And so we just were like, well, let's be reasonable. Here's what we like to do. And we know it's not the same, but we deserve to be protected. And every strike we've gone on, there was a strike in 1988 when I moved out here right away. And I'm like, God damn it. I need the money. But, every time that now in today's day and age, giant companies own everything. They own the networks, the movie studios. Like one company will own a lot of different stuff. And like another company will own all this stuff. And so they're big. There's like 4 potential bosses. And they always do a thing where they're like, with his strike, boy, these guys picked a bad time to strike because we are really hurting. And their boss thinks, I remember the guy from Discovery, which is Warner Brothers, which is the network I was working on, he just got a $250 million bonus. And he went on TV and he's like, yeah, these actors, they are really, and the good news is we kind of turned that inspired us. Like, we're going to stay out forever. It's hard. We need the money, but screw this guy. Then eventually, because they plan for the strike, the studios know, I think they're going to go on strike. So we'll overshoot. Then we'll have content the whole time they strike. We'll let them strike. We'll clear house. We'll cut all their deals. We'll clear house. And then when we're ready to start working, we'll just sign it, and whatever it is. But and we'll play this game. And they're very smart that way. But in this case, because of AI, it was really important that we struck the writers and the actors.
Tyler, so you hit that magic mind earlier. How do you feel?
Tippity top.
Sharp.
I am. I feel like a well sharpened edge.
I had one this morning, but forgot my nooner. You get that energized, focused feeling, but there's no crash afterwards. There's no caffeine, only clean ingredients. We've been a fan of this stuff for a long time, and we've partnered with Magic Mind. This means you get a nice discount, up to 48% off, in fact. Just go to magicmind.com/crunch20. Use discount code crunch20. That's almost half off your order, and you'll love Magic Mind. These mental performance shots have lion's mane mushrooms, cordyceps mushrooms, matcha, and ashwagandha. Easy to throw in a smoothie, but I like to drink it right out of the bottle because it's sterile and I like the way it tastes. Find your flow state, improve your memory, and don't miss out on trying Magic Mind for less at magicmind.com/crunch20.
So back in that time when you were doing True Lies and working with Arnold, did you ever do the Schwarzenegger challenge at any of the Hollywood parties?
What is the Schwarzenegger challenge?
I'm scared to ask as well.
It came from the story from Danny DeVito after he worked with him on Twins. Apparently, they would show up to the rap party and all their last names were spelt out in blow. And DeVito,
oh Jesus, that's good.
DeVito's was all very manageable, and he's like, Arnold, come look, and he did my last name. And Arnold goes in his Schwarzenegger on the table.
That's funny. Oh, that's funny.
And so apparently
that must have been a long when things were crazier, man. The early 80s.
Yeah, it could have been 80s.
Danny DeVito, I took Arnold and I have this thing called After School All Stars, which is after school programs that he started 30 years ago. We have a lot of charities that we've been doing for 30 years. We give out 10,000 gifts at Christmas. We do this, but this is he really worked on this, and I think we've raised $1.5 billion over that period of time. Like he's very big on service, and he told me when I first met him, your movie's important, but so is your charity thing. It's got to be just as important, and you got to let people know this is just as important as my TV or movie career, and so they have to respect that. So he does all. So we had our fundraiser, a card thing at his house. And my daughter, there's one day a month where whatever she wants to do, it's just she and I for 24 hours, no matter what time, and I had to put it in the custody thing because I was afraid, when you get divorced and you have your kids are young, especially my daughter's younger, and I wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to be just as close to my daughter as my son. And you could tell that that the mom would be like, oh, I'll let Quinn come over for the weekend, but not her son. But I put it in there. The judge put it in there. And so anything she wants to do, when she was younger, still, I'd go, here, we're going to do this stuff. And then she got to the age where she could say what she wants to do. And whatever it is, she'd go, let's go to the pier. Let's do this. Let's do that. And we'll do it all the, that day. We'll do whatever. But she after a soccer game, I said, well, tomorrow's dad-daughter day. What do you think? She goes, I want to go to Arnold Schwarzenegger's house. I was like, okay, we'll make that happen. And my son had been over there, and I was like, has she never? So she was my date to this big fundraiser, and because so cute. And she was so good about it because sometimes kids, they get these things, they get tired. They don't want to be a part. But Arnold's fundraisers are like he owns a zoo or a circus or some shit. These animals that are roaming around his grounds are crazy. And so she really enjoyed that. The day DeVito was there, and Arnold and I and him took a picture of this giant snake. It's funny. But Danny DeVito is so chill. Like I've seen him at Arnold's a bunch of the holiday party too, and he comes over and he's just kind of chill. He might be a stoner, but he'll get in the hot tub and he's chill and just a very cool guy. And they have a good dynamic. I hope they make twins too. They were talking about it.
I've heard that too.
I hope so.
Well, and your charitable acts do not go unnoticed. You certainly have made a big impact. I heard you were even responsible for reuniting Kiss after 10 years. Even thought you saved Peter Criss's life. Tell us the story.
Yes, I did save Peter Criss's life. Well, here's the thing. Now, the first time back in 1989, I got into some trouble with drugs and etc. And it was back when the tabloids were big, and it was a big problem, and it was on the news, and I was getting married to my first ex-wife in January. And, planning the wedding, we're going to get married at the Coconut Grove, the last event they had there. It's a famous old place and whatever. And so I had this issue with drugs, and she realized it. And so, she said, you're going to be fired from the show. We're not getting married. And, it was a big public thing. And so, but I was like, okay, I'm going to go to rehab. Now I went to rehab 100% just to make myself look good and get my job back and my fiance back and have people like me publicly. And then, but after on my 8th day there, my counselor said something to me that really is kind of saved my life. Since he said, "Hey, have you ever considered getting sober for yourself?" And I'm like, "No, I've never considered that."
Nope.
What?
And I go, how do I do that? And he goes, "Well, you have to love yourself." And I go, "That's impossible. Honest as shit." And I look in the mirror, especially then, I'm like, that guy I do not even like. And then I came up with the thing. I took a picture of myself. I had a picture of myself when I was 4. And I'm like, well, that's me. And I love him. And he doesn't deserve to die of a drug overdose or whatever. So I had to take it out a lot every day just to remind myself, okay, this thing. Okay. Now, then I learned, and by the way, then I called Roseanne. I go, "Listen, I love you. I appreciate you. I know why we're not getting married. I know why I'm not working on the show, but I'm going to stay here and do this for myself." And she went, "Oh, we're getting married." And I remember thinking, if I known that would have been so easy, I would have just manipulated her and said bullshit her like, "I'm staying here for myself." But this time I'd actually kind of sat on it a little bit. I'm feeling it. So I get there, in rehab, you got to make a list of all the people you fucked over. It's a significant list. Like what and the way I understood it from that rehab was what you do, because you don't want to carry that around on your shoulders. So they screw somebody over. So you got to make amends. And the way I understood it is you write them a note. And I remember writing, "Dear Denise, I'm sorry I ruined your credit. I'm sober now. Bye." And I thought, that feels good. That feels
better. Anybody else feel better?
Yeah. But I also realized that I had a lot of, and I call them red check marks because they make you make a list of good things, green things. And I figured at the end of your life, you die, and then God it totals up all the red check marks, and then he shells up the green check marks, and it's either up or down. And so, again, I had a lot of red check marks. So what I learned in rehab that first time was that the best thing you could do is save another addict alcoholic's life.
Sure.
And I'm like, I got to save somebody's life so as to get out of here in case it died. For real. Like, that's how I was thinking. So the first day out, and this is how God works. I get home, I open up the National Enquirer, which is a very reputable newspaper.
Yeah.
And on the front page is one of my childhood heroes, Peter Criss, the drummer for the band Kiss, the guy with the cat makeup on. And it said, he's a homeless alcoholic crackhead living under the Santa Monica Pier. And I'm like, holy shit. I got 20 minutes. I live in Brentwood. I'll drive down there and save his life.
This is my moment.
This is when I had a Bentley and a mullet, which I have neither now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got 20 minutes. I go down there, and if you've ever been there in Santa Monica, it's Ocean Avenue or whatever. Mm-hmm. I park my car right there. I get out of my car, start walking up the beach towards the pier, and I see some homeless guys. I'm like, "Hey, have you seen Peter Criss?" They're like, "You got $20?" I go, "Yeah, here, yeah, yeah, he's that way." And I did it a couple times. Now, this was back in the day, and the pier was not as glamorous as it is now, and they were doing some kind of construction underneath it, and so it was all tarped off. Those tarps, and it was basically a giant crack tent. That's a real thing.
Oh, no.
So I get under there. I open up the back of it, and about 30 yards, I see a guy with a 50-gallon drum and like a drumstick, and he's like, boom, boom, and he's still got fans. Still fans. They're like, "Hey, yeah." So I make my way up to the guy, and I go, "Hey, are you Peter Criss?" He's like, "You got $20?" Like, yeah, I do. He goes, "Yes, I am." I go, "Well, this is your lucky day. I'm Tom Arnold. I'm here to save your life." Now, I'm on a time crunch, so I can't save all these fuckers' lives. Now, so I pick him up, throw him on my shoulder, start to walk out of the crack tent, and these guys, he's their meal ticket. They don't want me to take him out of there. So I had to fist fight homeless people. Just get out of there. I try to save man's life. And I get him up to my car, and I called the place I'd just gotten out of, New Beginnings, it was called, in Century City. I called, "Hey, it's me, Tom Arnold." Great guy. I've got a new, I'm bringing in a new client, and he's a VIP. So we're on our way. And they're like, no, don't do that. No, we aren't going to have a bed for 72 hours. I'm like, fuck, I got to keep this fucker alive for 72. How do I do that? And so we go across the street on Ocean there, There's a little hotel. I check him in. I give him beer and food because I'm not a monster. But I tell him, hey, no fucking crack. There's no smoking whatsoever here. Like, it's the damage is positive. And so then I went back to work. And then the hotel manager's like, his buddies are coming across the street and smoking crack. I'll go, God damn it. So I had to go back down there with my little bat, get him out of there. Second day of this, day two, I get a call from a woman in Boston. She's like, I am Peter Criss's ex-girlfriend, and I want to fly him to Boston to save his life. I go, okay. First of all, I'm just saying, when I save his life tomorrow by getting him in rehab, and I get credit from God for saving his life, he's all yours. He's all yours.
After I get the credit.
Yeah, after I get the credit, because that's how I need that. And you're like, how did the woman in Boston know that you're saving Peter Criss's life? Well, there's something called anonymity that had not stuck, apparently, in my first rehab. And I did an interview with Entertainment Tonight saying, hey, it's me, Tom Arnold. I'm a good guy now. Forget that other shit. Anyway, I am saving Peter Criss's life. He's a homeless alcoholic crackhead living in the Santa Monica Pier. And so that's how she saw it. So then the next day, I go to pick him up at the hotel. The hotel manager meets me out front and goes, bad news, Mr. Arnold. A limousine came and took Mr. Criss to the airport a few hours ago. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. That bitch in Boston, man. She went behind me. She stabbed me in the back. God, I remember thinking, will I get half a green check mark for trying to save the guy's life? But this is how, again, God works. About 5 hours later, I get a call from the woman in Boston. She's hysterical. She's like, oh, my God, he's here. He's throwing up all over the place, and he is not Peter Criss. Google this story. Google it. This is all real. And I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit. And in my defense, when he was under the pier, he did not have his cat makeup on. So, I'm like, okay, this is very bad. This is very bad. And I thought, so this guy, this random guy, and he's out in Boston. He's screwed because she wants him out of her house because he's up here. So I was scrambling, and I thought, who's sober in Boston? And I remember Rolling Stone said that Aerosmith was sober in Boston. So I called Steve Tyler and Joe Perry and go, I got a situation out there with that. They went over. This is how you're really supposed to do it. They went over and picked that anonymous guy up and took him to rehab and saved his life. That's really how you're supposed to do it. So that was one. Now, when I took fake Peter Criss across the ocean the first time, a squad car had pulled up, and because he was all messed up, and the cops get out. I go, no, I got this, guys. It's his bachelor party. I'm taking care of him. And then they're like, okay. Anyway, when they find out the real story, they'll say they're pissed. Cops are pissed when you lie to them. So they came and arrested me. So I'm arrested for assaulting homeless people, which is very bad. And then kidnapping this random dude from underneath a pier who's in Boston now. So, it's bad. And so they take me down to the police station, and they're just screaming at me, as they should. And I'm waiting on my lawyer. And a detective comes into the interrogation room, and he's like, give me a minute here with Mr. Arnold alone. And so they leave, and he goes, hey, so let me get straight. You went down to the Santa Monica Pier by yourself to save a man's life. I mean, I go, yeah, that's what we do. He goes, I mean, you fucked it all up, but you did. I go, that's how we do it, man. We're here. He goes, I'll tell you what, you do that one more time, we'll see about dropping some of these charges. I go, I'll do it. You fucking do it. He goes, well, there's a cop we work with here, and he's got some issues. He lives about, I forget, Pacoima or something, and he's going to be dead by the weekend. Now, we legally can't go into his house and get him. I go, I'll go into his fucking house and get him. And the guy's like, the Jack's like, he's got a lot of guns. I go, I don't care about guns. Does he have a dog? Because they're the wild cards,
True.
And they said, no dog. So the two, I had him draw up what his house looked like. So I knew what come in the front door, go over here, and I knew there's a hallway, take a left. That's where the living room is. I knew he'd be there. I said, we're doing it at 8 a.m. Because as a person that's done drugs, I know 8 a.m. is not you're not 100%. You're probably making calls from somebody to, get your. So we go over there, and then we park a block away. It's the two original cops. And they told me later when I got out of the car, they're like, okay, when he kills Arnold, we're going to say it was a home invasion. So they're like, so they give me this little battery. I don't know, battery grab. I wish I still had it. Bam. So I get to the front door, pop the front door open. and here comes a pit bull running down the hall straight at me. I'm like, God damn it. They promised no dogs. Now, I turn to the right. That dog just keeps going. Like, because dogs know shit's going down. Like, that dog wanted out of that house. So I walk down. I come around the corner to the living room. There he is. It's like a big glass, low living room table. He's got booze and drugs and the phone and guns on the table. And he's all fucked up. And I'm like, and he looks up at me and he goes, first of all, he goes, what the fuck is Tom Arnold doing in my house? I go, I'm here to save your life, buddy. It's your lucky day. We're going to rehab. Let's roll. And he's like, the fuck we are. And he gets up. He's messed up. So he takes a swing at me. But, anyway, I drag him out of there. They take him to the hospital, to rehab. And that guy is still sober. I don't know how many years ago but that cop, I see him once in a while. So that's a happy ending.
That is a happy ending.
And another thing happened. When I first heard about Peter Criss being a homeless alcoholic crackhead, I called Gene Simmons, who was my neighbor, who's the bass player for Kiss. And I said, Gene, Jesus, did you know Peter Criss, a homeless alcoholic crackhead, living in a Santa Monica Pier? And he's like, oh my God, that's so sad. We haven't toured together in a long time. I'm like, yeah. And then I got to call him back. Gee, great news. Peter Criss is not a homeless alcoholic crackhead living on the Santa Monica Pier. And they did tour together. After that. So I swear if you Google it, you'll see I definitely put the band back there. And the real Peter Criss, by the way, when I was on Entertainment Tonight, he's sitting there with his wife, his mother, his kids, completely sober. And I'm on TV going, Peter Criss, a crackhead. He lives on the Santa Monica Pier. He sued me for $50 fucking million. Of course.
Oh, no.
But there's the last thing. There's a episode of Donahue. You guys are too young to remember Donahue.
Oh, Phil.
But
we know him.
You
We know
can
Phil.
you can look it up on the internet, and it's me and my big fat face, fake Peter Criss, real Peter Criss, fake girlfriend, and I'm just like, it's just humiliating for me because I'm having to admit that all these mistakes, but I saved his life. What can I do?
And no good deed goes unpunished. I can't believe you went through all of
green
that.
checks in
Yeah.
there.
What a
There's
story.
For intention.
What a story.
Such a good guy.
Thank
You
you.
really are. You are an inspiration to so many and a role model to so many, myself included. I really do appreciate
Thank
the
you.
time, too. There was no way we were going to spend the 10 hours we want to spend with you in 30, 40 minutes and knock it all out. But this was awesome, and I do appreciate you making
Thank
the
you.
time for us. And I hope that
Thank
you do
you.
have something more fun next week for your birthday planned than just hanging out with us. But we will make sure that's a good time while you're here. Be sure to
That's
follow.
going to be fun.
It is going to be fun.
Yeah. So please come down to the show. We'll have some fun. It'll be extra fun. I'm happy to get down there for my birthday.
We are excited to have you. Be sure to follow Tom on X and Facebook at Tom Arnold and his IG at The Tom Arnold. Come see him live at Desert Ridge Improv March 6th. Tickets are available at desertridgeimprov.com, but they are going fast. You're a blast, Tom. We really do appreciate your time. Looking forward to having you in town, seeing you at the show.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Have a good night.
All right. Good night now.
Good
Bye.
night.
Tom,
Another guy.
he is his own grandpa.
I wanted to sing it so bad. I'm like, I'm just fighting. I am my own. No,
You
don't
were
do it.
just cherry tomato
Chomping at the
red.
bit.
You were
Oh. When you're saying that, what you said, 1996.
1996. It was a
Okay.
banging year for
I was
Tom.
going to say, those three alone that you mentioned, Big Bully, Carpool, and the Stupids.
There's like
Oh.
an excellent chance. I'm talking like 80% or better that if I walked into our living room in 1996 to maybe 1998, one of those three movies we're going to be playing.
Oh, absolutely. And do you know how many times I have actually been trying to quote the Stupids?
And no one knows what you're talking
Of
about.
course not.
I wouldn't know what you're talking about.
Actually,
Me neither.
there's been a few, but it's a very specific group. But we are out here.
It's a cult following.
Yes.
There's not many of you, but you're strong and you're passionate.
And we're loyal.
He loves that you love the
He
Stupids.
knows that
And
there's
he's
people
aware
that
that there's
love hate.
you
I
either
am
love
in the
it
love
or you
group.
hate it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot of his stuff in general, but then there's things like True Lies that just everyone unanimously
Honestly,
loves.
his role in True Lies was great. I thought it was like he.
Oh,
was,
did you like it, Blair?
Yeah.
Did you like Tom Arnold's role in True Lies? I feel like that's such a unique opinion. Not everyone feels that way. Tyler,
I'd say he felt-
do you like Tom Arnold in True Lies?
I think I kind of like Tom Arnold in True
Stop.
Lies.
Stop. He said that he felt like he didn't deserve to be in that play, or that others
Right.
were like a no Tom. And I think that he proved that he was great in the role and
he was
belonged there.
So great that he created the archetype for the funny comic cop buddy that was actually the funny guy, not just the straight man.
Not the straight man, because they did have that in the 80s and several buddy cops, but they were more the straight guy so the funny guy can be funny.
Right.
Like Eddie Murphy in
Judge Weinhold.
Beverly Hills Cop, yeah. We'll have to do something nice for Tom on his birthday.
Yeah.
If you're not following us on TikTok at Something Crunchy, what's the matter with you? Get involved and find us on Facebook as well. Don't forget to check out somethingcrunchy.com where you'll find every episode, our links to social media, and the Almighty Crunch Store where you'll find all kinds of crunchy gear showing that you are a proud citizen of Crunch Nation.
Please don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, and all that crunchy good shit. All episodes can be found at somethingcrunchy.com and on all podcast platforms. Thank you for listening.
Hey, just grab a hold of something, bite your lip, and give it hell. Come on. We're gonna get through this.